Hey guys, this is Melissa with Beauty by Nature, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make healthy pie crust. Okay, what you're going to need is for every cup of flour that you use, which I'm using fresh ground wheat flour, but you can just buy wheat flour from the store, you need 1/4 of a cup of salt, and I've already put that in here with the flour. Then you're going to need a little bit of extra flour for when you roll it out, iced water, a couple tablespoons of iced water, but I just like to have plenty, and then shortening. I'm going to use coconut oil so that it's a little bit better for you, but you can also use lard. So let's get started. So like I said, I've already added the salt to this flour, so go ahead and just take a fork and just mix it enough that the salt is a little bit dispersed in the flour. And then take your shortening. I'm using just a little bit of extra coconut oil because it tends to be a little bit more dry when you use coconut oil. So it's 1/3 of a cup, but I had just a little bit of extra on top. And then take that like that and go ahead and mix it in, cut it into the flour. So when that step is finished, you're going to have a crumbly, pretty moist mixture of just the flour, the salt, and the shortening. You can just use a fork to cut it in. I do that frequently, but I find it a little bit easier to use kind of a pastry cutter. So go ahead and make sure that there aren't any huge lumps, but little lumps, this is just fine. This will work. So after that, you're going to go ahead and take, the recipe says 3 to 4 tablespoons of iced water, and I usually start out with only 3 to make sure that I don't get too much, even less if I feel like it's pretty moist. So maybe 2.5, and then just take your hands and work that in like this. You want to avoid over mixing it, because over mixing it will take the flakiness out of your crust. So just mix it the minimal amount until it all clumps up like this, and then it's ready to be rolled out. So depending on the size of your pie pan, you just get an extra good sized amount of dough so that you don't want to roll it out and not have it be enough. And then get plenty of flour on your surface so that it doesn't stick. If you are using coconut oil instead of a lard or a regular shortening, it can tend to stick a little bit easier. Coconut oil is just a little bit harder to mix it into the dough, into the flour. So go ahead and flatten it a little bit out on its own. That'll help. And make sure you have plenty of flour underneath. And then finish rolling it out like this. To probably 1/4 of an inch thick, or even 1/8 of an inch thick, depending on how thick you like your pie crust. And then I find it easiest to carefully fold it in half to transfer it to the pie pan. And if it fills it mostly up, that's alright. You can kind of stretch the edges a little bit, and you're going to put, depending on what kind of pie you're making, you'll probably end up putting a layer on the top anyway. So just kind of carefully pat it in there, and then you're ready to put in your filling. So I hope you guys liked this video on how to make healthy homemade pie crust. If you did, go ahead and subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks guys!